Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of DreamWakers Daily. I'm so excited to be joined today by Wren Weichman, who is a content creator at the YouTube channel Corridor Digital. Wren, it is just such a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer all the questions we have for you.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
So, just to start us off, for those of us who don't know what Corridor Digital is, it is a really popular YouTube channel. I think you guys have upwards of 7.5 million subscribers at this point, and you are making all sorts of content, be it technology, video gaming, STEM-related things, and cool visual effects stuff. So, can you just talk us a little bit about what your role at Corridor is?
Yeah, sure. So, at Corridor, we've got like a few different YouTube channels now at this point, and each channel kind of serves a different purpose. We've got the Corridor Digital channel, which is kind of like the home to all of our cinematic content, right?
Mhm.
This is the stuff that we're trying to put a lot of like high effort visual effects and cinematography into. We also have a gaming channel, podcast channel, yada yada. But we also have what started out as a behind the scenes channel, which has ballooned into its own uh, existence, right? And that's the Corridor Crew channel, and that's where actually I spend most of my time these days working on. And so my role is kind of just coming up with interesting concepts or ideas that I can explore for that channel. For instance, most recently, I I modified a drone to have a Nerf blaster on it. Actually, it's right here. So this is an actual like real Nerf drone. It actually shoots. It actually flies. It can do flips and all kinds of stuff. Uh, and so the video we did for that was kind of just exploring that whole journey of just trying to make it all of the highs and lows of that. And that's just like one type of content that I like to produce. I'm working on another video right now where I explore how the human brain is kind of just incapable of comprehending exponential growth. Because, everyone's stuck at home right now due to the COVID-19. And for the most part, everyone was kind of surprised at how big of a deal it became so quickly. And just with some pretty simple math, I can explain why everyone was surprised by that. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's really awesome. It sounds like you work on a lot of different things. And I think that segues really good into our next question, which is just that a lot of students out there watch a lot of YouTube. They watch a lot of these content creators, and they really want to be content creators. So can you walk us through from, beginning to end? What does it take to make even just one video for Corridor?
Well, it all starts with a good idea.
Mhm.
And, it's really hard to separate good ideas from just okay ideas. And trust me, I've had my fair share of just okay ideas, if not bad ideas. And it's not very often you come up with a good idea, but every now and then, if you're good enough at identifying when you come up with a good idea, you can start trying to flesh that out. Usually, it's like you say one thing. Like usually, we have these brainstorm sessions where we'll sit down for an hour and just kind of like toss out ideas, and we'll start riffing on them together. Like I'll say one thing, someone else will chime in, kind of adding on top of that. Someone else will chime in, adding on top of that. But it's all in service to this thing we don't even know is going to happen yet. One of the other people sitting in this room suddenly gets an idea because of our conversation, and he'll say it out loud, and we all go, "That's it. That's the idea." And so all the stuff that we were just riffing on ends up getting thrown away completely because we just came up with a much better idea. And for instance, last year that was we did a couple parodies of this company called Boston Dynamics, and we had just gotten this new motion capture suit, and we were trying to come up with ways to utilize this suit. It's something that'll allow us to like move around and translate that information to a computer generated model. And we thought, wouldn't it be funny if we rig up a robot 3D model and just abuse it and just make it seem like it's just some really clinical robotic testing setting, and we're just going really too far. And that turned into a very popular video for us. And so, so the first thing is making sure we have a good idea, and then comes the scripting phase where we kind of just like turn it into a concept, a script. It's not always a script per se. Sometimes it's just like bullet points for what we need to film, what will go into it. And then we have a producer. With our team at Corridor is now like 13 people between like 11 and 13 people, and all of us have different roles. So there's people to help, like for the pre-production for a video, where we'll actually start kind of getting the gear together, getting the people that'll be needed together, and we execute it by actually filming what we need to film, and then it goes into editing, and then visual effects, and then final polish, where like the sound design, color grading, mixing, all that stuff comes in. And that's just for the cinematic stuff. Yeah, it's like every video has its own creation process, and it all starts with the idea. And as long as you have a good idea, and you can like really just run with that, yeah.
Can you give us an idea of like how long it takes? Like how many days, hours, months?
Sure. Well, because it's YouTube, YouTube kind of, it's not so much that they punish long turnaround times, but they definitely reward quick turnaround times. So the more frequently you can upload content, the better off you'll be in the YouTube ecosystem, which is kind of hard for us, where we like to put a lot of quality and effort into a video, which usually translates to requiring more time. So back in the day, several years ago, we were very focused on pushing out a new short film every 2 weeks. And with every short film was a behind-the-scenes video. And then we started doing more frequent behind-the-scenes videos that were every other day. So every other day, there's a new 5-minute video being uploaded. So these days, the Corridor Crew channel, which used to be the behind-the-scenes channel, is kind of our biggest breadwinner for the company right now. And so that has allowed us to kind of put more time and effort into other videos on the Corridor Digital channel. So for instance, last year we did a second Boston Dynamics parody video that took us like 2-3 months to do, and that was a pretty long turnaround time. We've done just a small handful of videos that require that much time. It's really hard because, you know, the more time you put into a video, the harder it is to kind of like make that money back just purely from ad revenue on YouTube. So it helps whenever you have like a brand behind a video that's actually like giving you a budget. But yeah, usually the answer is ideally as quick as possible. So for instance, this exponential growth video, I spent about a week writing it, and I'm spending another week producing it, all the filming, editing, and visual effects. And so I'm still in the process of working on that video. But yeah, 2 weeks is a pretty good middle ground for like having good enough quality, but also quick enough turnaround time.
Very cool. Can't wait to see that video, by the way.
Me too.
So to bring it a little bit more personal about you, so you graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering, and of course that's a little bit different from what you do now, still in the STEM field, but a little bit different. So can you talk to us about like how you kind of pivoted to becoming this content creator? Was it something you knew that you wanted to do, or did it just kind of happen?
All of the above. So I was in college at the time, getting an engineering degree, and I discovered that doing visual effects not only was something that I enjoyed doing, but was relatively easy. I don't know if easy is the right word, but it was approachable. You know, it's like you don't have to have like a really nice computer to start doing visual effects. I had like a little crappy laptop that I was doing just simple effects tests on for a couple of years, and so it was just a hobby. And by the time I was getting close to graduating, like literally within like 2 or 3 months of graduating, a couple of things started lining up really quickly that inspired me to basically try to create content full time. Because I don't know, I realized I didn't really want to be in that sort of like office space situation where, not the movie Office Space, like an actual space of offices. I didn't want to go work at Boeing designing a bolt in the wing and spending 6 months iterating on all the stress analysis and all that stuff that goes into a bolt to make sure it won't break in the middle of a flight. It's important work, but I realized that I'm just at my core, I'm far too creative for that kind of work. I'd probably end up being a liability for Boeing because I'd start like etching in like funny sketches on the end of the bolt, completely unnecessary, and it would probably end up resulting in an airplane going down. So it's probably a good thing I didn't design any airplane bolts. So that was a tangent. That basically, I started making videos after I graduated college because at the time, YouTube was now actually starting to support actual full-time content creators as a career path. There are a few different YouTube channels at the time that were huge inspirations for me. One of them I ended up eventually working for after moving here to LA, and that was over 8 years ago that I've been working with them now. And so they were doing what I wanted to do, which was making fun videos with their friends, doing some cool visual effects and uploading them to YouTube, and they would get enough views to actually monetarily support making more videos. I thought that was a perfect dream come true. So I just started pursuing it, and it took a very long time to actually get to a point where I could do the same thing, I guess. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly sure what the original question was.
Honestly, I think you answered it, just about how you got here and if it was, what you always wanted to do. But I feel like you got there.
So it's like, the thing about a degree in engineering is that it's a degree in problem solving. It's all just about like figuring out how to do what you need to do. And it's a very technical aspect of it. It taught me a lot about hard work and whatnot. But it also taught me a love for science and math and how important that is to society. And over the last year or two, I've made more videos kind of talking about science and kind of giving new perspectives on things that people might already know about but weren't obvious. Easy to understand, but not obvious to begin with. So,
awesome. Yeah. So do you have any advice for people who might have hobbies or skills like you had with visual effects that they're just really interested in, and how they can maybe turn that into careers for themselves?
Feed your passion. Adam Savage has this amazing quote that I'm only going to paraphrase because I can't remember the exact quote, but he thinks that for anyone to be good at anything, it requires a healthy amount of obsession. And he basically says that you can't just be excellent at something by only being passively interested in it. And obviously you can't be so obsessive to the point that other facets of your life start falling apart. So that's where the healthy obsession comes into. But it has to actually dominate your desires. It has to be what you think about and want to think about most of the day. And that's the best advice I can give you for wanting to turn a hobby into more than just a hobby. There's a lot more to it than that, but the first step is just becoming obsessed with what you're doing, being completely engrossed in it, and eventually it gets to a point where you can start trying to leverage your value with that hobby and utilize that in different ways.
Sure.
Actually, the actual step to turning something into a career, first there has to be opportunity. There has to be a need for what you're doing. Is there actually someone out there who actually can utilize and be willing to pay for what it is you're doing? In the case of me, it's not necessarily what they're paying for. It's just they're paying for it with their attention. They're watching a video.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice. It's a great jumping off point for people. And I think it kind of pairs well with this next question. This one was submitted to us by a high schooler in New Jersey who knows that, of course, you make a lot of videos where you guys are experimenting, you're making new things, you're doing all this really cool stuff. And they want to know how you teach yourself everything you need to know to be able to make these videos and these cool things that you do, especially now that you aren't in school.
Good question. Yeah. Well, first off, the internet is an incredible resource. It has, especially the last 10 years, the amount of information that has become available for free to the entire world is staggering. Pretty much you can just type into Google or YouTube, actually, specifically, anything that you want to learn, just type it out, like how to replace a watch battery and a smoke alarm. That's an awful example, but there will be probably 4 dozen YouTube videos on exactly how to do that, and you can learn how to do it just from that. So the first step is to identify something that you want to do, whether it's, and it has to be kind of somewhat specific. It can't just be I want to make a video. It has to be, I want, for using visual effects as an example, I want to make a shot where I jump 10 feet up and over a fence. That's okay. Now you have a goal in mind. And so the next step is to kind of segment that out into various steps that you can go to from where you're sitting right now with absolutely zero experience or understanding of where to go next to your end goal, which is I want to jump over a fence using visual effects. So that's a bit of an ambitious thing to go from zero experience. Maybe there's an easier effect that you can start with, but it all starts with, okay, what's the first thing I need to use? I need to use some sort of editing program. What is that? So you start researching what an editing program is. What are your options? And you're like, okay, I've identified this program. Adobe After Effects is the program I'd like to use to do this effect with. How do I start using it? The next step, okay, now you start watching tutorials. Tutorials are a gift to the world. They are amazing. And yeah, it goes back to that obsession aspect that I was talking about. You just got to watch tons of tutorials just to kind of understand how to use the programs. But even the more important step after that is to actually just dive in. Start just doing whatever it is you're trying to do. And it's going to be hard, and you're going to feel lost. And that's okay, because the best way to learn is by doing it, by actually gaining that experience. So even though you might not be sure exactly what you're doing, you'll be able to figure out what you have figured out versus what you have not. And so then you can start focusing on the things you still have yet to figure out, and then slowly but surely everything starts coming together. You start making progress, and then by the end of it, ideally, you've now made the effect that you were trying to make, or whatever thing that you were trying to learn how to do, and now it's in your head. Now you've taken that little book and you've filed it away in your brain space, and then you can move on to the next one and start trying to do that. And then after doing that enough times, suddenly you have knowledge on how to do what you've wanted to do.
Yeah.
How to make a bunch of effects, how to use a program in ways that maybe you didn't initially know it could do.
Totally. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I'm sure many students are well aware of Google and YouTube and how to use that. Yeah. So very exciting that they can just learn anything on the internet pretty much.
Totally.
So our next question is coming to us from a middle schooler in California who just asks, is college worth the price?
Oh boy, okay. That's a difficult question for me to answer because, first, it really depends on how much college costs. And secondly, it depends what field you're wanting to get into. Maybe spending $100,000 on a liberal arts degree isn't really the best thing you can do. Because it's like you spend all this money and then you get this degree that, no one's hiring for. There's tons of things. No one's hiring right now because there's a crisis going on. But even before that, you're starting to see, is it worth the price? Here's the thing. I value my experience in college. I think it was very worthwhile, even though I don't technically use my diploma. I do use the experience of my college education every day. And some colleges, you have to have a degree. Sorry, some companies, some career paths, you have to have a degree just to go down there. Like, for instance, my wife is a nurse. She'd probably make a pretty bad nurse if she didn't get a nursing degree. Not including the fact that she wouldn't have been hired to begin with. But for someone like myself, or anyone in filmmaking or visual effects, a degree honestly doesn't really matter that much. There are colleges where you can get filmmaking degrees, and most of the value comes from that in just your relationships that you build, the connections you make. Because once you're out there actually trying to get jobs, especially if you're a freelance visual effects artist, no one cares where you went to school. All they care is what can you do for them. And the best way to show that is with like a demo reel of all like the best effects you've ever made, all like the best things you've ever done, as just like a resume, just like a visual resume. Like, this is what I can do. Hire me, take it or leave it, doesn't matter. If you're actually hiring for a position, you want to be able to know whether or not this person can work hard, and for that, a college degree obviously is essential, but not always, Mm-hmm. That's why I like to recommend community college, because especially if you're just doing it for the first 2 years, get all your prereqs out of the way for a bargain, and then you transfer into like maybe a higher class school, better name recognition for your resume when you're actually trying to get into a real job.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's really hard for me to answer. Is college worth the price? There's way too many variables. So
You're right.
It all depends on the person's situation.
Absolutely. It's definitely a difficult question, and hopefully that middle schooler in California can weigh all of the different variables that are in their life and come to a more informed decision. But I can completely agree with you that I'm one of those people who's not using their degree in the way that it was meant to be. I majored in video game design, and that's not what I'm doing right now. But
right. Okay, fantastic.
I use, what I learned about working in teams, being a hard worker, being dedicated, how to learn new skills on my own. I use all of that every day in my job. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely a good learning experience. So our next question is one that actually a lot of people wanted to know, and it's just, what is kind of like the most memorable or unique situation that you found yourself for work?
For work, well, usually the craziest, most memorable things are when like one of our videos really pops off and it starts gaining like mainstream news, or like celebrities tweet about it or whatever. Those are always really awesome. But with that come a lot of really cool opportunities. For instance, I got to do a TEDx talk last year, which was really awesome. That was an opportunity given to me because of the work that I do. But another one was being able to learn how to fly a jetpack. That was really cool. Again, that was technically for work because it turned into a video that we made around it, but that started off as an opportunity that was afforded to me because of the kind of work that I do. But one of probably the coolest memories I have is sitting down on the couch for a series that we produced called Visual Effects Artists React, where we basically look at movies and TV shows and break down the visual effects that make them up. We kind of market it around like, we're going to laugh at some bad effects, but really it's actually a subtle learning opportunity for people to actually learn how visual effects work in stuff that everyone consumes, movies. So sitting down on the couch next to this man named Matt Aitken, who is a visual effects supervisor at Weta Digital, the company that famously produced, Lord of the Rings, and a bunch of other movies. He was one of the very first people to be hired at Weta Digital, like literally the first or second guy. He started working at Weta before Lord of the Rings went into production, years before. So sitting on the couch next to like a legend like that and actually getting to like talk about the effects he's personally worked on was a huge honor. And I don't think I'll ever forget that. That was really cool.
That's awesome. So to kind of segue off of that, we had your bio, and you mentioned that your like dream job is to have kind of like your own science TV show, I guess like a Bill Nye sort of deal. So
Yeah.
we're just wondering, like, can you talk to us about that? What inspired you to want to do that?
I mean, sure, yeah. So I've already kind of started working towards that dream over the last year with these science videos that I've been producing on my own. And that all kind of started as like a marriage between my skill set of using visual effects and editing with another skill set that I've kind of learned to develop over the last 5 or so years, which is being on camera. And by merging those two together, I was able to actually like start being excited on camera while also like creating visual effects around that and production value. But it made me realize that I want to be the next generation Bill Nye, because he inspired me as a kid. I loved watching his TV show. He made me excited about science. And there are other fantastic shows out there for kids to get them excited about science or engineering. And it inspired me to want to help out the next generation as well, because the next generation is who are going to be taking care of the world in not a long time. And if I can help influence more people to participate in that, then I think that would be really awesome. And so, yeah, I don't know. It seems like something that I would really enjoy doing. I like being in front of the camera. I like talking about science, and I like crafting videos. I like being able to make things that didn't, previously exist in that sort of way. So yeah, making a science show or not even a science show, just like hosting some sort of STEAM related thing would be awesome. Long form basically what I'm already doing, but on a bigger and better scale.
Awesome. Well, if you thought the college question was hard, I've got another doozy for you.
Oh boy, okay.
Yeah, buckle in. So the world of gaming and tech and STEM historically has been pretty underrepresentative of women, of people of color, and as members of those communities, you and I, how can we be advocates to get more representation in those spaces, to make them feel like they're more representative of the population that actually enjoys them? Yeah.
You weren't kidding about buckling up. Oh, man. Okay, so, as a tall, educated, straight white male, I have the answers to everything in the world. No, it's okay. I need to make more effort in being more inclusive of those kinds of people, because there is this weird misbalance between the, say, genders in engineering, for instance. When I was in school for engineering, I'd say at least 80%, if not 90%, of all my classmates were male. And the other thing about it is that literally the best engineers in my entire class were women. A really good friend of mine ended up going on to get a PhD in, I want to say, like geophysics, like mechanical engineering with a specialty in geophysics from Caltech. And she's a smart woman, and I can't help but feel that there are probably so many more women exactly like her out there that maybe just didn't quite have the correct nudge early on enough to explore that sort of thing. There are some amazing toys out right now, and I'm blanking on the name, but it's basically like a kit, a build it yourself like toy kit that utilizes science, but it's aimed at girls rather than, or at least one of them was aimed at girls. Another one is just aimed at all kids in general, but I think they're amazing for girls. And I think it's something I can certainly do better about. The vast majority of the people I work with are all male. We finally hired a woman last month, but that was right at the start of this whole lockdown, so no one knows she exists yet on the channel. But yeah, I mean, I think it requires conscious effort because the system in place for decades has always kind of like prevented access for women and people of color from certain aspects of obviously Hollywood, but also all kinds of industries. Yeah, I think I could certainly do better about stepping up. And I think if I ever do get a chance to make some sort of TV show, I would try to include a more. I think it's very important to include a bigger variety of people and stuff like that, and what you can see. I hope I answered that well.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I mean, I knew it was a tough question, right? Like, if we had the answer to that, then we wouldn't be asking it, right? It wouldn't even be a question. We'd just be enacting the answer. So it is tough, but I think you're right. We just have to be more conscious of what we're doing.
I saw a video recently from Mark Rober, if you know who he is. He's a science educator on YouTube, and he recently visited the United Arab Emirates, like in Dubai, I think, and he noted that more than half of the people who were science students at this place he went to were women. And you go to any place in America, and that's usually not the case. And he asked why that was, and they said that it doesn't make any sense to half the world is women. It doesn't make any sense to just arbitrarily shut them off for no reason when they have every bit of capability as men in every facet of work. So, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely important to know, important to say, and important to just take action about. So we have one last question. I wish we had time for more, but only one more. Um,
Okay.
this student wants to know, what is the best piece of advice you have ever gotten in your life?
Advice. Oh man, I don't know if I could think of a very specific example of advice that I've received, but I know a lot of the advice can be summarized with just one word, and that's perseverance. Because any endeavor you try to work at, you're inevitably not going to succeed, at least initially. You're going to have a lot of pushback or failures or disappointments. Usually, at least in what I do, it manifests itself as disappointment. You put all of this effort into a project, and you're really, really proud of this project. You can't wait to share it with whoever it is, whether it's your coworkers or the world. And then it inevitably, whatever the response is, let's say, like in my case, I spend a long time working on a video. I upload it. I'm really excited for it, and then it kind of just does okay. It doesn't really get that many views. Not that many people see it, and that can be disappointing. And I see a lot of creators online kind of expressing disappointment that, oh, they used to get more views, and now they're not getting as many, or they don't know how to get more traction on whatever they're doing, and it's really hard. But the best thing you can do is just keep at it. Don't. The most important step a man can take is the next step, which is a quote, which is why I said man. But yeah, it's all about, at least in YouTube, the video you're working on right now is the most important thing in your life. But the moment it's done, it doesn't matter anymore. It's time to work on the next video, and then the next video after that, and then the one after that. It's all about moving on, and not, you got to learn from your past and what worked and what didn't, but it's more important just to focus on the next thing that you're doing and not letting whatever disappointment or failures cloud your motivation. Perseverance.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I hope any student watching that can take that and hopefully apply it to their own lives. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I wish we had time for more questions, but unfortunately that's all we got. Thank you one more time, Wren, for just taking the time to answer all of these student-submitted questions. They were really, really excited. For everyone tuning in, just to let you know, we do these streams every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can check out what the rest of our Dream speakers are up to. And if you missed them, we're going to post them on our Facebook page right after they air, so you can always go back and watch them again. But that's all we have for today. Thank you one more time, Wren. I hope everyone out there has a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. I hope you have a great day.
All right. Bye, everybody.